Jungkook's misunderstood moment in Europe. One simple yes. That made the world fall in love. Was this the most honest reaction ever caught on camera? Was it really just a language misunderstanding? Or was it something far more powerful that the world witnessed in those few seconds by the dockside in Europe? When a short, candid video of Jungkook answering yes with pure enthusiasm went viral, many expected the moment to fade like countless clips before it. Instead, it did the opposite. It lingered, it spread, and somehow, it touched something deeply human across cultures, languages, and borders. The video surfaced quietly at first, shared by a fan account on X, but within hours it was everywhere. The setting looked peaceful, almost cinematic. Calm water, boats gently resting by a rental dock, German language signage hinting at a location in Switzerland or a nearby German-speaking region of Europe. Jungkook and Jimin, dressed in simple black casual outfits, were not on a stage, not under studio lights, not performing for millions. They were just walking, laughing, existing. Then came the moment that no scriptwriter could have planned. A local woman greeted them warmly and asked where they were from. Jungkook answered politely, "We're from Korea." Her response was casual, almost instinctive. "That's a long way to come." Jungkook paused, repeated the phrase with visible confusion, and then, with a bright smile and unmistakable sincerity, replied loudly, "Yes." That single word, delivered without irony or calculation, became the center of global conversation. Viewers immediately understood what happened. Jungkook mistook a statement for a question. Linguistically, it was a simple misunderstanding. Emotionally, it was something else entirely. His yes sounded less like an answer and more like an affirmation of the journey itself. Yes, it is far. Yes, we came a long way. Yes, and we are happy to be here. The laughter that followed was natural, unforced. Jungkook laughed. Jimin laughed. The people nearby laughed. And then millions more laughed along with them, replaying the clip again and again, not because it was shocking, but because it was honest. Fans around the world didn't mock the moment. They embraced it. Comments flooded in, describing the interaction as pure, unfiltered, and exactly why he's loved globally. Many pointed out how rare it is to see a global superstar respond without the polished reflexes of an idol trained for years to say the right thing. In that second, Jungkook wasn't the golden magne, the chart topper, or the stadium-filling performer. He was just a young man responding instinctively in a foreign language, and that, fans argued, was the magic in an industry where images are carefully constructed and every gesture is often scrutinized. This moment stood out because it wasn't perfect. There was no attempt to save face, no awkward correction, no embarrassment, just laughter and warmth. It reminded people that behind the global phenomenon of BTS is someone who can still misunderstand a simple English phrase and respond with joy instead of insecurity. The timing made it even more meaningful. Jungkook and Jimin were reportedly in Europe in connection with travel content related to the variety show Are You Sure? Season 2, which features their journey through Switzerland and Vietnam. However, the viral clip did not appear to be an official broadcast moment. It felt personal, almost accidental, as if fans had been allowed a brief glimpse into a private holiday rather than a public schedule. That distinction matters. Fans were quick to note how respectful the interaction felt, how Jungkook and Jimin remained friendly and open despite being approached during personal time. There was no sign of annoyance, no guarded expressions. Instead, there was curiosity, politeness, and a genuine willingness to connect. The German word Butzvermietung, visible in the background, confirmed the European setting and added authenticity to the clip. This wasn't a staged encounter. It was real life unfolding in real time. The video surpassed tens of thousands of likes and reposts. A broader conversation emerged. Why did this moment resonate so strongly? Why did one misunderstood sentence feel more impactful than many carefully planned interviews? The answer, many believe, lies in relatability. Almost everyone has experienced confusion in a foreign language. Almost everyone has answered too quickly, misunderstood context, or responded with confidence only to realize the mistake afterward. Seeing someone as globally admired as Jungkook experienced, that same human slip created an instant emotional bridge between idol and audience. IT also reinforced something fans have long said about him, that his charm lies not only in his talent, but in his sincerity. Jungkook has often been described as hardworking, disciplined, and intense on stage. Off stage, moments like this reveal a softer, more spontaneous side that feels disarmingly real. Jimin's presence amplified the warmth of the scene. Their friendship, often referred to by fans as Jungkook, has always been defined by shared laughter and mutual comfort. The way they laughed together in that moment didn't feel like content. It felt like friendship. And that authenticity radiated through the screen. Notably, there was no official statement from HYB regarding the viral clip. None was needed. The silence allowed the moment to remain what it was, a small, human interaction that didn't require explanation or branding. By the end of the day, international media outlets had begun referencing the clip, not as a scandal or controversy, but as a heartwarming reminder of why BTS continues to resonate across cultures. In a world saturated with carefully edited perfection, Jungkook's enthusiastic yes felt refreshing. IT was not grammatically correct. It was not contextually precise. But emotionally, it was flawless, and perhaps that is why the world didn't just laugh. It fell a little bit more in love, because sometimes it only takes one misunderstood sentence, one genuine smile, and one honest yes to remind millions that even the biggest stars are still wonderfully human. The ripple effect of that single word did not stop at laughter or admiration. As the clip continued to circulate, something deeper began to form across timelines and comment sections, something quieter yet more powerful than virality itself. People were not just sharing the video. They were projecting their own emotions onto it, reading meaning into Jungkook's expression, his tone, the brief pause before he answered, as if those seconds carried a truth rarely seen in public figures of his scale. Why did his response feel so reassuring, almost comforting, to people who had never met him? Perhaps because in that yes, there was no calculation. No concern about pronunciation, grammar, or image. No instinct to correct himself. It was the sound of someone choosing enthusiasm over self-consciousness. And in a global culture that often rewards perfection and punishes mistakes, that choice felt radical. Fans began pointing out something else that made the moment resonate even more strongly. Jungkook did not laugh at the misunderstanding immediately. He laughed after answering, after committing to the response with full confidence. That detail mattered. It suggested that he wasn't embarrassed by the mistake. He simply realized it together with everyone else. The laughter was shared, not defensive, and that shared laughter became the emotional key to why the clip refused to fade. Across different languages, fans translated the exchange repeatedly, explaining the nuance of "that's a long way to come" and why it isn't a question in English. Yet every explanation ended the same way, not with criticism, but with affection. People weren't interested in correcting him. They were interested in protecting the moment. Some commented that his answer felt symbolic, even poetic. Yes, it is a long way. Yes, we came far. Yes, this journey matters. Yes, we are here. In hindsight, the misunderstanding sounded almost like an accidental statement about his entire career, a journey from a trainee in South Korea to a global artist recognized everywhere from Asia to Europe, and that interpretation spread fast. Suddenly, the clip was no longer just about language. It was about distance, effort, and presence. About what it means to travel far, not just geographically, but emotionally and culturally. Jungkook's unfiltered response became a mirror for fans who had followed him for years, who themselves felt they had come a long way alongside him. Another layer of fascination emerged from the setting itself. Europe, often portrayed as distant and unfamiliar in K-pop narratives, became the backdrop for a moment of universal understanding. There was no stage, no translator, no staff guiding the interaction. Just two Korean artists and a local stranger meeting in the middle through curiosity and goodwill, and it worked. This is where the narrative quietly shifted. Instead of framing the clip as a funny mistake, many began framing it as evidence of why Jungkook's global appeal feels different. His charisma does not rely on flawless English or perfectly timed responses. It relies on emotional accessibility, on the sense that he is willing to engage even when he might not fully understand every word. In media psychology, moments like this are rare. Audiences tend to distrust overly polished celebrities, yet they also scrutinize mistakes harshly. Jungkook somehow escaped both traps. The misunderstanding didn't diminish his image, it softened it. It didn't make him look unprepared, it made him look present, and presence is powerful. The reaction also highlighted a contrast that fans know well: Jungkook on stage versus Jungkook in everyday life. On stage, he is precise, intense, almost untouchable in his focus. Off stage, as seen in this clip, he is open, reactive, and playful. The gap between those two versions doesn't create inconsistency, it creates depth. That depth is what keeps audiences watching. Jimin's role in the moment, though subtle, added emotional balance. His laughter felt instinctive, not exaggerated. It signaled safety. For viewers, it reinforced the idea that Jungkook was not alone in the misunderstanding, that this was a shared experience rather than a solitary slip. Their dynamic turned a potential awkward moment into something joyful, and joy, especially unscripted joy, travels fast online. As the clip continued to circulate, even non-fans began engaging with it. Some commented that they didn't know much about BTS, but the interaction made them smile. Others said it reminded them of traveling abroad and responding confidently to phrases they didn't fully understand. The universality of the experience pulled people in who might otherwise scroll past idol-related content. This is where the story quietly becomes bigger than fandom. IT becomes about connection without fluency, communication without perfection, and warmth without performance. Jungkook didn't try to impress. He didn't try to be clever. He simply responded honestly in the moment he was given, and that honesty felt rare. The absence of an official response from management only strengthened the authenticity. No clarification video, no playful explanation, no attempt to reframe the moment for branding purposes. The clip was allowed to exist as it was, unpolished and untouched. In an era where even mistakes are often monetized or repackaged, letting the moment breathe felt intentional, whether planned or not. By nightfall, fans were no longer just sharing the clip. They were defending it, protecting it from misinterpretation, emphasizing that the misunderstanding was not a flaw, but a reminder of humanity. The tone was clear. This is not something to fix. This is something to cherish. And perhaps that is the final twist in why this moment mattered. The world didn't fall in love because Jungkook made a mistake. The world fell in love because he didn't hide it, didn't rush to correct it, and didn't lose his joy because of it. He said yes, as if the journey itself was worth affirming, misunderstanding and all. The question lingers, long after the laughter fades and the clip loops one more time. In a world obsessed with saying the right thing, at the right time, in the right way, what if the most powerful response is sometimes the simplest one, spoken without fear? And what if that honest yes tells us more about why Jungkook resonates globally than any perfectly scripted answer ever could? The video ends in seconds, but the feeling it leaves behind refuses to end. What makes the moment even more compelling is what happened after the clip stopped playing. There was no dramatic aftermath, no follow-up footage, no clarification from Jungkook himself. The world was left only with interpretation, and interpretation is where emotion grows. In the absence of explanation, people filled the silence with meaning, and almost unanimously, that meaning was kind. This is unusual in today's media climate, as so often, misunderstandings become weapons. A mispronounced word, a misplaced response, a clip taken out of context can spiral into criticism within minutes. Yet here, something different occurred. Instead of dissecting Jungkook's English, viewers focused on his expression. Instead of correcting the grammar, they amplified the warmth. Instead of turning the moment into mockery, they turned it into reassurance. Why? Because the interaction did not feel performative. It did not feel like content designed to go viral. It felt accidental, and accidents still carry truth in a digital world that rarely leaves room for them. Many fans pointed out that Jungkook's answer carried a kind of childlike certainty. Not childish, but childlike. The kind that comes from responding before overthinking, before fear intervenes. In that split second, he trusted his instinct more than his language skills. That trust is something people recognize instinctively, even across screens, and that recognition